Alrighty, good day proxies, Foxhole back again. And hopefully today you're having another great day. Hopefully you had a good day yesterday, but hopefully today you're having a great day. So in today's video, we're going to get back into another conversation of topic. So let's sit down, let's relax, and let's return to an old topic that I covered a long time ago on this channel, which is about toxic positivity. Back it's about a year now that I discussed this interesting topic to some lengths, and I think that it's a good topic to return back onto the channel, especially now with like all the recent things going on drama wise, that I just want to really just jump into it and talk about it. So if you're up for it, let's jump straight into the hollow with this one and let's get a conversation going. Toxic positivity. Two words to describe the pressure to stay upbeat no matter how dire one's circumstance is. Or in the way that many people use it now, is basically to positively speak about one thing so highly that the actions that come from using this terminology causes a toxic aura to surround that positive tone. See, we've seen for over a year a slow build with certain content creators, and in the recent months, this has grown much and much bigger, much larger if you would. I stated this when I first started seeing the WoW community becoming more toxic and overly hyping a game and taking jabs over and over with other games, that in the beginning I was wanting to express that my thought process surrounding this, especially with a lot of the CCs, is that we didn't need Genshin Impact as a primary example of why Weather and Waves was better. We didn't need to always over-exaggerate things or hype things so much that the positive vibes that we're trying to create for our audiences would be actually considered pushing an agenda onto others. I was told pretty much a couple of different times that I wasn't, that this wasn't happening, that I was delusional, that, well, for lack of better words, that I was stupid. But what I've seen in the last couple of months, from the different postings, videos, articles shared with me, it just shows that, like Genshin Impact was in the beginning, there is a toxic positivity that's coming evolved. Because, look, Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, ZZZ, a lot of these games have changed. Some of them have improved greatly in the last year. Some of them still have issues, but they're putting more processes forward to improving their player experiences with the games. I mean, like such as ZZZ devs, they have made changes based on players' feedback and as well improved many different elements in the game. Weather and Waves has pushed many different quality of life leads through their updates in the last few months, making things much easier and casualized for different player experiences. But with these different changes and everything else, I've also seen in terms of the communities and mainly the time spent in the Weather and Waves community, I have seen this growth of the need for recognition, to be recognized. The need of attention to come forth. And I will say that seeing this, it gets pretty toxic, and this is led by a lot of CCs that seem to either act, like Karen dismissing information and automatically frame one being defensive, or B, they are the type of salesperson to go knock on each door and ask you to go play, hey, come play Weather and Waves. And even if you say, hey, no thank you, man, I'm good, they put their foot in the doorway, it seems like, and they're overly insistent for you to play the game, and it almost feels like they're trying to force it down your throat. And I look at this from my own personal experiences with different communities, and I don't think the majority is like this, but the social media presence of the vocal minority, well, surely is. And you see, from this experience that I've had in the community for the last year and seeing all this, I do end up blaming people like St. Tonus and other content creators who pretty much want to push this entire positive perspective without really any regards to explain basically the pros and the cons. They're trying to, what seems like to me, sit there and push narratives when it's clear that, you know, they're not doing it for the better of the community or the better of a game, but for the agenda of just wanting to be noticed. These are people that make comments, insinuate different things, backtracks on a lot of different points that they have when they're called out, and tries to gaslight others, saying that they're the ones in the wrong, not me. These are the same people that watch a video and assume that the information in this video means that something's bad for a game that they don't even play. And then when information comes out, you know, by respectful people, says, hey, we can disprove these initial points you have, they again gaslight, backtrack. I've seen this, I've heard this so much, and it just reminds me of just how much I've said this before, that we've seen this time and time again. History is just repeating itself. And you see, with the Weather and Waves community, I will say it like this: it's turning into something, personally for me, that I fought against. It's turning into the same toxic waste pit of a disaster that Genshin Impact had created long before. I remember certain friends and everything else fighting, you know, gotchas and everything, and Genshin was the best, and then Genshin became crap when new gotchas came out. It's becoming the new side of this community that's almost hard to tell the difference from Genshin. And in case you're not really clear what I'm basically getting at here, my point is simple, is that using this broad terminology to try to explain this in English is, Genshin community used to be the red suit Spider-Man, and throughout the years, things led it to becoming the black suit Spider-Man to many people. It wasn't a good Spider-Man. It was cool, but it basically was, you know, Peter being evil here. Then Weather and Waves comes out, and it's like the community that was with Genshin jumped ship, and now they're like Eddie, who is jealous and upset at the popularity of Spider-Man, and ends up turning into Venom, just a darker and more toxic version of Black Suit Spider-Man. And here's where I think that people need to recognize this, and I think that, you know, main content creators in their own spaces need to be held accountable for their actions, for their words, because they lead these communities. They play a big part in how these communities work and how they grow. From their accusations of calling others out and saying that they're things that they aren't, to insulting people out there, you know, or even going out of their way and making a comment that says that this person's mentally ill and they're going to commit a heinous act. One of the older examples I can give is Gacha Revenue, because this is something that I did get involved in. And what I could tell you is that Gacha Revenue, the old site, not the new one, but the old one, was developed by one man that didn't take sides in Gacha. He just took data from SensorTower.com and posted it on his own site to make it easier to get this information that is being broadcasted by Sensor Tower without people having to have an account and go search for things. And because of a certain person with his opinions and accusations that was overly exaggerated to make this website seem like it's doing something wrong when it wasn't, made certain people in that community go ahead and dox and threaten this man's life and family, causing him to stop and shut down the site. Again, there's other examples out there from many of others who've shown, from these insults to these accusations of calling people out as pedophiles, you know, saying that, hey, some people will go out and commit a murder spree apparently, and in general, they just do what it takes to create the image of a person, of another content creator, of a player, whoever, that honestly is not probably even involved in any of this, just to make them look bad, because they do not. Well, they do this because, and I'm going to say for the lack of better wording, it's because these people do not suck off their high and mighty ego. Again, as a content creator, your words have actions, not just to yourself, but those to around you. Those that look up and admire you. Sometimes we should learn to look at the mirror and see what we're becoming is the same thing that we fought against many months ago. That this toxic positivity that we're spreading. We think maybe, you know, at the end of the day, we're being positive. We're saying our game's better while bringing down something else. And, you know, we're not toxic, but our actions don't deem this. And again, we need to look into the mirror and see what we are actually becoming. This is why I tell my chat all the time, if you see me change, you see my opinion, feel free to go ahead and kick me in the nuts, man. Because I don't think this is right. I think that we need to find better ways of handling our communication with others. So, with that, I'm just going to go ahead and stop this conversation. I know it's a little bit longer at the end right here, and I apologize for that. I just think it's a good time to that, you know, to bring it up and have this conversation with you guys, because like always, I'm here for the conversation. Whether it's about drama, whether it's about something about the game, whether it's personal feelings, conversation, healthy debating, healthy communication is what matters. So let's go ahead and head out to Hollow, and I will go ahead and catch you guys later on. See you on the flip side. Peace.